1, 2, 3.
Yes, it's the Late Late Breakfast Show with your host, Bernie J. Mitchell.
Are you in?
Are you in?
Matthew, it's on now, so just go. So Matthew, what's the name of the company you work for?
FreeAgent.
I've got to say, they are my favourite online cloud accounting system based in Edinburgh, founded by an ex-RAF pilot.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
It's amazing. So there's so many things we can talk about, and around business, of course, your long and checkered history of running your own business, working for Business Link and then PayPal. But what's your little buzz thing at the moment? What's the message you're trying to get across to?
So, well, interestingly, as you said, I've worked in lots of different industries, worked in retail, in engineering, all sorts of things. I guess at the moment, because obviously I'm working in the kind of tech industry, as we like to call it, and ever since I was a business advisor, things have been changing massively, especially over the last 2 years, with accessibility to start businesses, run them from home, and get quite a lot of coverage and get quite big quite quickly. But businesses are still the same. The sort of technical side of things might be changing, and it might be a lot easier. I mean, we're doing this podcast now on a very interesting piece of equipment.
It's wireless.
It's brilliant. But you didn't have these sort of things a couple of years ago. Well, you did, but you couldn't afford them. Right. And it's that accessibility is brilliant. But I think we talk quite regularly about change and the way that the technical capabilities are changing the way we work. However, businesses fundamentally are still exactly the same underneath, and that's where people seem to be losing their way a bit.
What's the element that makes them the same?
So, if you think about it, we have lots of different ways of going to market now. A lot of people are able to put out their products. Say they're selling products, they can sell them abroad, they can sell them in all different marketplaces in one hit. All the new kind of e-commerce sites are coming out where you can sell on Facebook and all kinds of things. But if you think about it, whatever type of business you are, whether you're retail, whether you're kind of a project-based company, at the end of the day, it's all about making money. Whether you're making money to be a millionaire or just to survive is, neither here nor there. But you have to be able to invoice customers. You have to be able to take the money. You have to understand what your business is doing financially, and you have to be able to pay the taxes that you need to pay and get the money off your customers. And it's not that's still exactly the same. The way I always explain it is you have to have a viable business, and it's not about business models. People say, I've got this brilliant business model, it works for these companies, I've researched it. But actually you can have a model in place and not run it properly and not work to the model and not collect money. And that's one of the biggest killers of businesses.
Is it forgetting to get paid, or is it forgetting to run something that's profitable?
It's it's every stage actually, Bernie. It's first you do some work for somebody. I mean, I had it the other week. There's a guy that did some work for me at home, and he still hasn't invoiced me, right? And I keep saying to him, invoice me, and then I'll get it sorted out. But businesses, some people who run business don't invoice in a consistent manner. Okay, so they do a job and then they'll go, so much of a hassle doing the financial side of it. I'll invoice at the end of the month. Yeah. And if you have people who don't pay you properly, which is another issue that people have chasing money. I don't know if it's the British thing about us or what, but people are terrible at chasing up people who owe them money. And add that to invoicing too late, you can end up with, most people say, my standard terms are 30 days. And most people, if you look at it, are actually not getting paid if they're lucky on 60 days. And normally it's a lot longer than that. And that kills you.
Well, my standard terms are 24 hours.
Well, there you go. But how many people pay you in 24 hours?
The tape's broken, man. We were talking about Liam's letter to a young social entrepreneur, and one of the things that caught my attention about that is how many people get really excited about, particularly in this sort of sharing economy, social space, so they run around speaking at gigs and blogging and tweeting, not that I do anything like that, but they kind of get involved in all the nice fluffy side and they forget the core don't know what that sign is. They forget the core structure and foundation of their business.
Yeah, and this is because I don't know. I suppose it's like anything. You think of youngsters who have cars, right?
Yeah.
And they, and it always makes me laugh. You see like a big souped up Fiesta,
Vauxhall Nova.
yeah, but they've got this little tiny engine under the bonnet, right? That they kind of don't look at. They clean the car to its death, and and kind of have chrome pipes and all sorts of stuff all over it. But underneath, they haven't done anything to the car. So when they pull up alongside you at the lights, they struggle to beat you. But it's the same with businesses. People kind of spend a lot of time on the window dressing of a business, and like you said, especially when people go and talk. I've met a lot of people on the kind of circuit. Not that I'm on the circuit, Bernie, but I do get asked to talk a lot of
high-end gigs.
Gigs, yes, that's right. I just have to convert to get paid for them. But anyway, but you have lots of these kind of people who purport to be experts and stuff, but actually they spend a lot of time, talking about it, and the business underneath is neglected because it's. Let's be honest, it's the boring part of it. It's the day-to-day keeping the kind of. Even if you keep the minimum amount of paperwork, the minimum amount of kind of procedure in the business, even that can be quite boring.
So where does this go into the for you, the lean startup-y minimum viable product? Because that's something I've learned about over the past couple of years. There's so many things I would never have done. Like I put less into a website now. It's really easy to get tied up in the beautification of your website and never have anything happening, and just it's how little you need to start a business. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there.
Yeah, well, and this comes interestingly enough, this is actually more about on the sales side of things because my background is sales myself, and I can't believe I'm admitting this on tape, Bernie, but I even have it now. I'm working with FreeAgent. Is that there's lots of really interesting opportunities that come up, and you talk to people, or if it's a business that's sort of looking for new sales routes and channels, you sort of think, this is really, really interesting route. You kind of do a lot of work around, meeting the right people, and sort of putting your name out there. But it's the conversion part that lots of people struggle with, because when you talk in a sales from a sales angle, you talk about conversion. And have you ever been to a sales kind of a training session? So the thing about
ABC,
and then close the sale. But it's true. It's not quite so direct as that. But too many times, especially if there's lots of opportunities, people think and they get really sort of sidelined by chasing after opportunities and not closing, for want of a better word, those opportunities. I do it myself. I'm terrible as well.
I do. I use Nimble, my favourite CRM system in the world, but when I actually started tracking like who is really likely to give me money, from the 150 people I know, there was like 2.
Yeah.
And it's.
Yeah.
See how we went all awkward there?
No, exactly. Yeah. Do I owe you some money?
No.
No, but it's see, if you in simple terms, if you're selling products, it's a lot easier to spot that, because again, I've worked when I was at Business Link with a lot of product-based companies, and it's very easy to look and say, firstly, am I selling these widgets? Right, and they're not selling very well, because at the end of the year you've got all this stock when you do a stock take. Also, because you're selling product lines, you can easily say, this product line I'm only making this percentage on. When you're working in the service industry, or if you're working as a lot of people are now, selling their knowledge or selling a service, it's a lot more difficult to know whether you're making a profit or whether you're actually doing well with what you're selling. And as you said yourself, it's the customers. It turns more to customers rather than the kind of product or service, because you can do a lot of work. It's a simple thing saying, here's a product, pay for it, to saying, I'll do a bit of background work for you, or I'll get known and I'll do you sort of a sample of my kind of presentation work or something like that, and you end up doing the work
accidentally. Well, so what's with we talked about this before we came live on air, but how long do you? You're not allowed to say it depends.
Okay.
How long? So you have your startup, my super startup, and when do you know when to quit or when to?
A lot of people.
How long you should give it?
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know when to quit, because when you set up a business, or when you're kind of looking to grow a business, a lot of people will set a business up and just kind of run it alongside something else they're doing, and that can go on for many years. What you have to be careful of is saying, when I set this business up, you have to set the timescale then.
Yeah.
So you need to say it's all based on really how much money I've got to support it, how long I can last without money, because it does come down to that in the end. That's the problem with people running things alongside their existing business. If they're working for a bigger company or something like that, you can go for quite a long time saying, this is a nice bit of supplementary income. And we all get to that stage. I did it myself with my business, where you have to jump.
Yeah.
Because of the way that you can set a business up now, people jump a lot quicker, but that also means that then you don't have the money behind you to kind of dig in and grow the business. So in answer to your question, I've come a bit of a long way about it. That's what you need to understand. You need to set yourself a goal saying either you have a target of a year to get to a certain turnover, or you have a target of a year with this many funds. So say you need £1,000 a month just to pay all your bills and your mortgage and everything else, which would be nice, wouldn't it?
Childcare.
Yeah, exactly.
Your Apple products.
But if you know that, you can say after a year, then you have to face the stark reality of you're out of the budget. So really, I guess it's the old-fashioned thing of budgeting. The problem is a lot of people don't know when to quit, because they have this really brilliant idea and they have a real belief in it, but either other people don't, or they just haven't really put enough resource to get it off the ground and to grow it properly.
Yeah, I asked the same question with Lisa Kansky, is that, what if you end up, you think, I think I'm supposed to be selling phones,
yep,
and I'm really attached to the idea of selling phones, but really I should be selling TVs, or
yep.
If you're going down, if you kind of got like the right energy, but you're going down the wrong road,
yep.
What do you do then?
So that's all about being aware of the market that you're in. There's plenty of businesses. So that
Actually,
again,
can I give you an example? Because I said to her, like, I thought I was an entrepreneur, but really I'm definitely not an entrepreneur, because I haven't got that. Yeah, but I'm really good at freelancing and jumping between things. But I spent up too much time trying to be the next Richard Branson, and just
you've got the beard.
Just hair alone was an issue. So when do you, in your experience of all the people you work with?
Yeah. So the sad truth is a lot of people don't. So they'll stick to one plan. Part of the problem with that is that when people set a business up, it's pretty much the only time they ever write a business plan.
Yeah.
Because they need to, they'll need to get financing, or they need to run from there. What they don't do is to build in contingency of just going with the flow a bit. We were talking about this earlier, actually, Bernie, where people kind of, they have a set marketing plan, or they have a kind of very rigid way of going to market. And if you spot that things are, direction is changing, it's very hard if you're really rigid on what you're doing to sort of go, actually, maybe we need to start looking around this side. And it comes back again to what I was saying about, if you have products and you know that, 3 products are selling better than others, you can much more quickly, stock up on those ones that are selling and run down the stock of the old stuff and have a sale. You can't do that so easily when you're when you're providing a service. And you've probably found it, Bernie, you kind of, you start to get committed into all these things that don't make you the money, maybe.
Yeah.
And
maybe. Definitely.
And you know that these other things are the ones that are going to do it. And it's quite difficult to change direction.
So how do people, I know how I've learned to do that, but how do people, when you used to work for Business Link, or, like bumping into people now at FreeAgent, how many people actually have a system in place where they go, this is, like a piece of software or a book or something like that, where they go like, I'm this is what's working and this is what's not working?
A lot of people don't. That is one of the big issues. We all know, I always say this is going to sound terrible, it's always a bit like being in a bad relationship. You it takes a long time to get out of it for a lot of people, right? You know that it's not working and it's going
we're very happy married, aren't we?
Yes, of course.
Fathers,
of course. But everyone's been there, and it's very, even when you're in it, it's easy from outside. So being a business advisor, as I used to be, it was always a weird situation, because it's almost like saying, can you not see this?
Yep.
And it's much easier to see it from outside. However, when you're in it, and I'm talking about business here, it's hard to realise what's happening. You kind of know that it's not working. And what normally drives people is coming to a point where they have to either make a decision to drop out and get a normal job again, or whether they say, I really don't want to go back to what I was doing. I need to change direction. So most people actually are forced into making a decision. A lot of people don't see it coming and sort of adjust accordingly.
So I'm going to leap around here. There's it seems like being a startup is more in vogue than ever, and I mean lots of. Hi, I'm a startup. I've got a startup, and actually, oh my god, because I'm a tech. I mean, tech sharing economy startups with who are about to pivot and are pre-revenue. Do they need to just start a business, or do they need to start a startup?
Well,
that question to number one.
God,
or maybe when does a startup? Because there was someone that we both know the other day who said, "Oh, we're a startup too." And I'm like, "No, you're not. You've been in business 4 years, and I know you were funded." But when does the startup? I suppose my question is, when does the startup stop being a startup and start being a business?
Well, and that's $1 million question, because you could even technically say that someone like ourselves, like FreeAgent, are really still in the startup phase. In all seriousness, startup is really. Startups really getting the business established and still trying to find a way to kind of to have a solid non-shifting business model, because actually the startup phase, funnily enough, is what you were probably alluding to earlier, is being very fluid and kind of looking at the way that you can change things and kind of grow into your business model or to your kind of plan that you want to do. So startups, me personally, I call startups anything up to 4 or 5 years old easily. Mm-hmm. It's and
that crushes on half the abuse I throw around if you say that.
Well, the trouble is, it's a bit like the use of the word entrepreneur nowadays. Mm-hmm. Anyone who starts a business is known as entrepreneur now, and they're not necessarily. And startups, when you say startup, you do think of someone who's literally, at the stage of going, right, what am I going to sell? I found it myself. I've been at this startup business show for the last 10 years or so in various ways. But the interesting thing is, up till probably even last year, the startups were people who'd come to you and say, "Oh yeah, I'm starting a business," and you say, "What are you doing there?" "I don't know yet, but I am." But this last couple of years, I've really noticed that people have been doing their homework, and there's a much higher level of understanding of what it takes to get a business off the ground.
I hate the startup show, but it's really nice to hear you say that.
It's true. No, I've been very impressed with that.
And the other thing that was going to upset me as well is, do you think that's because of TV content?
Yeah, I have a real bee in my bonnet about this kind of stuff. I think it's a double-edged sword, because it's good to get people interested in business. Mm-hmm. The problem I have is when you look at the things. Funnily enough, I've just written a blog about it. Did you know that? You didn't, did you?
I didn't know you knew what the internet was, Matthew. So you're writing a blog.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know how to put it on the internet. I've just
hanging out with those constant contact people too much.
But you look at, I can't stand, I'll quite happily admit this, I can't stand The Apprentice, because, although it sort of makes people think about, if you look at the content of it, it's all about, ideas and being an entrepreneur, but really it's about fitting into a business and filling all the stereotypes that, people have. So, and then you look at the Dragon's Den. The one good thing I like with Dragon's Den is the fact that, you have people who come to the Dragon's Den with an idea, and when they get asked about, the money side of it or their projections, a lot of them fall apart. But that is although that's quite cringeworthy to watch, actually my experience is most business owners who are like that. They have an idea and they have a rough kind of plan, but they couldn't tell you the figures.
And if you have a really good idea and a rough type of plan, you forget to ask the people that are going to give you the answers you don't want.
Yes.
Because I've sat through several I've got this amazing, Blogosaurus was one of them.
Yep.
Got a whole string of crap ideas, and I would have gone ahead and done a lot of them if I hadn't had a group of people around me to shoot them out of the water. So the money I've spent on beer might seem a lot, but it's saved me millions and my marriage and led me to this freelancing path. But that's So do you think people go to the startup show and they're more informed now as a result of mainstream content?
Definitely. What I've really seen is that whereas people used to go to the startup show to get an idea of what they might want to do, they're actually going there now to think, what tools are there to help me get started? So most of them do have a genuine idea of what they want to do. A lot of them actually are already up and running in that phase that we're talking about of running it alongside. You'd almost call it a hobby business, but then they want to, but it's not because it's not, selling model aeroplanes and things like that. It's it's a proper business, but it's one that they've just got ticking over, and then they're at that stage of going, actually, can I take it further? Which is really good to see. And you'll laugh, but the main thing I noticed on that is when you do a workshop around finance, like I do, and especially if you've got a social media event next door to you, you have, I think the year before last, I had about 12 people sitting in my seminar. But this year, and I don't, think it's anything to do with my amazing charisma and personality, but the room was full. I had 35 people, and to see more people coming in to sort of try and understand the financial side of it is really encouraging, even if it's not put into practice as much as it should be.
I had a similar experience at a tech event where I was doing social media and how to sell into corporates. There was people climbing up the walls, and it was like ram-packed. Social media, 6 people in my seminar.
It's
we called it how to sell technology over the internet, because your customers have mobile phones. It probably would have done better. But it's so just to wrap up, because we need to find a way to wrap up, and
sure.
this is gone on far too long. What should people be doing? What's the thing that you walk into a business and go, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing that. No one's listening now, so
so I can just say what I want. No, I think the main thing I would say is, don't forget, as much as I would want to say that the back office and the kind of financial function is, the central part of a business, even if you want to keep it as a separate thing and look at it as, your evil twin of your amazing, shiny kind of front end business, don't forget that in a business there are those two sides of it. It's like my wife always says, it's like the house is all nice and people walk past with all lavender outside and that, but there's my missus and me, of course, hoovering and washing the floors and all that kind of thing.
Burnishing the taps.
Exactly, but that's what a business is about as well. It's having that really nice, amazing kind of interesting front facing, customer facing side, but don't forget that you need to wash the floors and do the hoovering
and the foundations.
Exactly.
And where can people find you on? I heard you on Twitter, Matt.
Did you now? Yeah. Yes. Well, it's my Twitter handle. Is that right?
That's right.
I'm showing mine. Is at Matt J. Perkins.
And if we just Google FreeAgent, it will come up with
exactly
FreeAgent or Dan Pink. Thank you very much for your time today. I just have to say, we're recording at this my favourite Hackney Wick co-working place, the Main Yard. So we'll see you soon. We'll see you at the Breakfast Show.
Excellent.
Round
Thank
of applause.
No.
Okay.
Please go to berniejmitchell.com/podcast. Bernie would love your feedback.